it just costs you 50 of your maximum spirit, and you keep it on all time.
So basically you keep it on all time, I guess.
Yeah, it's always on for me. I know it's not on when I'm running real slow, so then I have to turn it on. It's really nice being a toggle too, as you can put it on like one of your F keys and just turn it on, and then you can go back to it and not take up one of your bars for it.
Yeah, that helps out. The other question I have for you, talking about the bleed build, that you apply the bleed. Other than DPS, is there another reason why you would always want to bleed on a target that I'm missing?
Mostly DPS, but like I said, the passive Predator's aim that we talked about only applies when you do a basic attack. So I still have to attack with a basic attack every so often, even though it's not a main attack of mine. So I do need to do that to get the vulnerability. And it's mostly for DPS. The thing is that when you stack those bleeds up, you're doing all that bleed damage that doesn't take up time to do other things other than just that initial application. If I did another attack, I would have to take away from time that I'm knocked down striking, which is taking away from DPS. So yeah, it's mostly just a DPS consideration.
Cool. Cheers. Up to the final tree, the third tree, Panther Avatar. This is where the good stuff is, in my opinion. On most heroes, that's actually true. This is what gives most heroes their specific, the stuff that sets them apart from the rest. And here he has his traps, he has his pets, and also the passive power with the dodge. So I'm looking forward to what you have to say about this tree. Which are the abilities that are actually a must?
Well, for me, there's two. There's Jungle Snare is a must. Max it out, because that's the one that multiplies all of the damage. Plus it gives you a little bit of crowd control with the immobilization. I mean, that's a secondary effect actually for me, but you really want to do as much damage as you can. And this is also one that, like with plus ranks on gear, that I really want to focus on, because every rank is another 1% more damage, and that's more than any of your other skills are going to give you with one rank. So I definitely want to focus a lot on Jungle Snare. That's a huge one, and we've talked about earlier, you know, the group benefits of it are really huge too. The other one that I max out is the Dora Milaje. They're just really great supplemental DPS. They're something that you cast and they're attacking all the time, and so they're doing a lot more DPS. And maybe we can hop in the training room here in a bit, and I can kind of show some of the DPS they can do, because they can put out some really good numbers, and they also soak up some of the damage that you wouldn't be taking, so that's kind of a nice benefit for them too. And they're one that you really have to put a lot of points in, because that ups their health and their defense to help make them last longer. Most of the other stuff in here I don't max out, but I put a point in everything in the tree. Like I said earlier, I got 10 points in Vibranium Trap to give me some AoE. 1 point in Blessing of Bast. A lot of people will do more because that's your heal, and you can get some pretty good heals in it. I just have a hard time getting the points, you know, because I've got so much spent elsewhere. But if you're looking for more survivability, you could definitely put some there, and it also gives you a nice little attack speed buff, which is nice. And then there's the 3 passes, which are all good in their own right. They're just not good enough to take points from all the other things that they have that need them. So they each get 1, and then I run a little bit more in Panther Sight, because it gives me the extra bonus damage to targets that are not attacking me.
Yeah. Cool, that's very interesting. Daughter is saying that he used the knockdown strike of your build that you used as well in the forums, apparently, and he has problems on the mana to sustain it. What do you do to keep up the mana that you need?
You struggle a lot. That's the hardest part with this build, is sustaining the spirit to be able to do it. One thing, like I said, I've reduced my cost from 10 down to 6.5, which is probably the most efficient thing to do with that. But you also want to look at things that restore your mana. Pims is an artifact. The Pims Shrinking Serum is an artifact that is a must-have for my build.
Yeah.
There's also some other ones. Mott's Arrowhead, the new Super Heroic version one of that, actually is a pretty good way to maintain and keep some spirit going, because it applies a bleed, and every time that a bleed is applied, it gives you back some spirit. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with our other bleeds, or else we would have no issues with spirit, because we could apply those pretty constantly. But even with that one, it still applies quite a bit. So you can run both those artifacts to do that. You could also run a Magneto Medallion would be a big boost to help that. It's not so much Knockdown Strike that is the issue, because like I said, it's not that expensive. What becomes expensive is when you're reapplying your Jungle Snare, casting your Dora, Bass to keep you healed. All those are, spirit costs of 15 or higher. So they definitely help drag down on the spirit quite a bit.
What are your thoughts on the Spirit Relic? That's what I'm running with. I've got a stack of 40. Gives me 50 extra spirit.
My thoughts are get your spirit pool pretty high. So if you don't have it on your gear, the Spirit Relic is a great way to get it. I run the melee damage relic, but that's because almost all my cosmics have at least 70 or more spirits. So I get most of mine from there.
What is your spirit pool at the moment?
With the Panther speed on, so I lose 50, I'm at 423.
Alright, right on.
Cool. Well, let's go to a quick look at the ultimate then. Some people might not know the ultimate, which it is. Here it is. So invulnerability duration is 5 seconds. And you get a buff effect, which lasts for 50 seconds. I'm at rank 3. What current rank do you have it on, Leloric?
I'm at 10. And like I said, I'm dumping all my splinters into there to get it to 20 as soon as I can. So, and most people know the Panther Ultimate as a AoE res, which it is, although I rarely use it for that, because this game just doesn't really prompt or need resing as much, if you know what I mean. You can always just release and teleport back to your friends or things like that, so it's really not that beneficial as a res, just because resing itself isn't, but it can be. It used to be really good in Limbo. But what's good is the damage bonus on it. It's a 25% damage bonus. So for me at rank 10, it's 2 minutes.
That's crazy.
Base. And then of course with the Doom Medallion, I push that up over 3 at any duration gear. That'll change a little bit with the Doom Medallion changes, but even at 2 minutes, it's still a really strong buff for 25%. Plus it gives everybody 750 tenacity. So CC effects are not going to hurt them as much, although tenacity doesn't seem to be working that great right now. It also gives a huge movement speed, so everybody runs a lot faster. So it's really got a lot of nice little things tied up in it.
It's super fantastic.
Exactly, it is.
Cool. Yeah, it's for me a bit of a crazy way, because this is the first time I really hear that someone is maxing his ultimate because it's actually that good, and that makes a lot of sense. So it's quite interesting. On a side path, before we go into the gear, they are nerfing the Doom Medallion, and their goal, their philosophy is to buff everything. What do you think about these nerfs? Because it's quite significant. You think it's needed, or you think they're just secretly nerfing anyway?
For the Doom Medallion, I can definitely see why they're doing it. It's actually the second time they've had to nerf the item, because the duration increases can be pretty bad. And not only for the things that are currently in game. I mean, if you looked at like a friend of mine runs Spider-Man, and we talked about if he had a maxed out ultimate and he gets 100% dodge for so many seconds with the Doom Medallion and that maxed out, he could get like 2 minutes of 100% dodge. So 2 minutes of invulnerability. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is.
You could imagine Wolverine with 100% crit for a long amount of time. Like I said, with mine, currently, if I went to 20 with a Doom Medallion, it would be about 7.5 minutes of the 15 minutes, because the time in between lowers down to 15 once you're at 20. So, I mean, that would be half the time I could have that 25% buff up, which is really big.
Yeah, great.
So I think ultimates, a lot of them, because of that. And I think more people should invest more in their ultimates, because they do get a lot better later on, and the ability to use them more frequently, too. But I think ultimates plus other things. I mean, I'm sure when they go to design a skill, they always have to go, well, how is Doom Medallion going to affect this? And I think a lot of times it may hinder their development process, because that Doom Medallion's always lurking as far as changing things. I do think with removing it or reducing it, they do need to look at a lot of character skills, though, that are kind of really short, that were probably because of the Doom Medallion, that need to be lengthened a little bit, because some heroes are just really have to micromanage a lot of those timers.
Yeah.
I am in the training room if you guys want to port so you can show off your abilities, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's do that. So here we are. So yeah, it's a tough because these are not moving targets. But could you like maybe show how you normally go into a fight just quickly, and then we can go into the gear as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first thing I always do is I call my ladies. They need to be with me. And
Nice.
then generally I'll just roll in stealth, because that'll let them get aggro. And then I drop the jungle snare. And I recast my girl's arrow on accident. That wasn't good. But I generally want them to get aggro. The reason I do that is because I get bonus for things attacking me that aren't friendly. So let them kind of beat on stuff like that. I'll get my bleeds going up here, like I did. Sorry, it's hard to do that while I'm talking. And then I start spamming. Once I get those bleeds up, I start spamming that jungle snare. I don't know if you can see there. It does about 12,000 without damage,
20,
and without
20Ks.
crits, and 20k crits. So it's a pretty big deal. And if you see my spirits generally maintaining pretty well there too. So it's not too bad. As long as I don't have to start healing myself too much or doing some of those other things, I can generally keep my spirit up for quite a long time with that.
So these 20 crits, is that with or without the trap?
That's with the snare.
Okay, because it somehow the animation went away. Yeah, there it is. Cool. Yeah, we can see the damage numbers.
Yeah, one thing with the snare is the even though the little net thing is gone, you still get the bonus even if they're not held. You get the bonus for the full duration of the heal. In fact, you'll notice when you cast it, it puts the little red dot on your chest. That's what actually is your damage vulnerability. So you want to keep seeing that.
I'm trying to show also, I'm throwing my snare down to let you guys see how much of a benefit having a Black Panther in your group is.
Yeah, they stack. So multiple Black Panthers is a good thing.
So now you get to 26. That's crazy.
And then, just to show the benefit of the ultimate, watch this. There's a 33.
I saw a 40.
A 40. 43.
43, yeah.
Oh
So
my
you
god.
got some really high DPS output with Panther. It's all single target, but as far as burning down a boss, he's one of the best at it. And one thing in here too is these things don't get unaware bonus. So as we're talking actually fighting a boss, we can get more because things will be attacking something else and not be aggroed on us. These things in here are aggroed on everybody at all times, so we can get additional bonus that way.
This is some crazy shit. Thanks. So the traps, the vulnerability stacks. Does it mean that it also stacks with the ability from Cyclops, for example, and the other weaknesses abilities? Do they all stack?
Exactly. Yeah, you can stack it with like Storms has a percent debuff, so does Cable, Eye for Weakness. All of those stack. So when we're talking group dynamics, those are the kind of heroes that are really going to shine, and you're probably going to see them become a lot more of the forefront with raiding and with the X defense and stuff, because they make everybody's damage so much better.
Yeah, true. Sweet, that's really sweet. Let's quickly go through the gear. I don't want to. We've already been here for 45 minutes, so I wanna keep the pace in it. Let's quickly talk about your gear, and the first thing that comes to mind is the relic. So I'm just gonna go through that. What's your relic? What do you use it, and why?
I use the melee damage. The reason, like I said, anytime I add damage rating, I'm doubling that. With my big attack, so I definitely want to get anything that adds damage rating. So that's the big bulk there. You could also use, like you said, if you're short on spirit, like Arnold was saying, spirit is a great option because you really do want to have a high spirit pull for Panther, because a lot of his secondary stuff, the snares and the traps and the casting your doors and all that stuff, cost you quite a